This episode of the Local Hustlers podcast is brought to you by Flamingo Pools, your go-to maintenance and repair company in the East Valley. Stop wasting your valuable time trying to take care of your pool and let the professionals at Flamingo Pools take care of it for you. Visit azflamingopools.com for a free quote today.
You're listening to the Local Hustlers Podcast, East Valley Locals. Get connected with small businesses near you and dive deep into their stories, mindset, and motives. Entrepreneurs everywhere. Get ready to be inspired by business owners, entrepreneurs, and hustlers that you can relate to and learn from. And now, your hosts, Dallin Huso and Ridge Waldberg.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Local Hustlers podcast. Today we have Jessica Garcia from Madam Butterfly Creations. Jessica, we're super excited to have you today. How are you?
Thank you. Good. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing good. Excited to be here.
It's a great day. Well, Jessica, before we kind of dive into the business, how about you give us a brief background kind of about who you are and what made you who you are and kind of life before Madam Butterfly Creations.
Yeah. So I guess backing all the way up a little bit, from high school, my goal in high school, the whole, what do you want to be when you grow up kind of thing. Mm-hmm. My background was a little bit different in how I was raised and how I grew up. So I knew I was going to have to be something or someone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Part of that is because I got pregnant in high school. Okay. So when, that kind of makes you realize that you need to have a career.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But I also knew that college was really expensive.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be able to really afford college because I had a kid on the way. Mm-hmm. So my grand idea was to go to cosmetology school. I was going to get my license doing hair, and I knew that made good money, and then that was what was going to afford me to go to college afterwards. Okay. As life happens, things change, people change, ideas change. Yeah. I did go to beauty school. I did hair for about 14 years. Oh, wow. And it helped me raise my kids, because I was a single mom after a few years. I had 2 children, and then I was a single mom from the time my second child was 4 months old. So just, I love doing hair. It let me have my creative, what do you call it? Just my creative outlet. Yeah. And I'm a people person, so I got to talk to people all day, every day. Same people in my chair. It just fit me. Mm-hmm. So I did that, and then I didn't ever plan on changing it. And I was like, it was cool to think I could do interior design, but I'm a mom now, so whatever. I'll just keep doing hair. I love it. Right. But then I was in a car accident, which made me not be able to stand on my feet for all those hours anymore. Yeah. Oh, shoot. So it, kind of changed things a little bit. I got into a couple different fields, tried to figure out what I wanted to be, when I grew up again. Yeah. It was kind of one of those things. And ended up getting into event coordinating, stuff like that. That was still creative. Yeah. That was still people. It was cool, but it didn't fit. And then, I just started, I've always crafted, since I was little. Yeah. And I ended up turning my crafting into another business. Yeah. So that's how I came up with Madam Butterfly. We do cabinet refinishing now, refinishing, barn doors, island build out, those kind of things. But I started with, the business started as a custom sewing business because that's really what I could do at home with my kids. I didn't have to stand on my feet. I knew how to sew, Yeah. But all of these things that I've done to create these businesses or create these different aspects are all just attributed to, my childhood. Uh-huh. So my childhood was probably different from some. Some it's the same. I've met a lot of people that have had a childhood like mine. Yeah. And for a long time, I was really mad about my childhood until I came to the realization that it's all about perspective.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, you know.
Yeah, well, it's definitely inspiring, and it's to see that, you know, what you've been through and what you've built is really inspiring, and it's been successful. So, and it all is perspective. It's all the way you look at it.
It is, because I grew up with 2 parents who were normal for a long time. Yeah. We did family vacations, you know, we did Disneyland, we did skiing every winter, we did all of these things, and they ended up taking a leap of faith when they were younger. When we were younger, they were still young. I'm like early 30s, something like that. And they were presented with an opportunity to own a business, a glass business. And that's what they did. They made really good money for being young, being the first time they owned a business. Yeah. I was old enough. I'm the oldest, so I'm the only sister that really, we're all sisters, no boys, but I'm the only one that really was of the age to remember what things were like. And my parents just had a really bad downfall of, you know, I want to say meeting the wrong people, but it was really their own personal choice. But getting into that money, getting into that lifestyle, and that led to drugs. Yeah. You know, they kind of wanted to be rock stars, I guess. I think, you know, they had all this money and they could party and they could whatever. And within a year of that, my parents, we had no electricity, no water, nothing. Our house was in foreclosure. We had police at our house all the time. The drugs caused them to fight constantly. And I think I was 11, and that turned it into me raising my sisters because they were no longer able to. And I remember they had their business and our home office, we had a home office, and my parents would sleep all the time and the phones would ring, so I would answer it. Wow. And I'd answer the business calls and at 11 years old. And I'm like, you know, I'd pick up the phone, say the business name, you know, how can I help you? They'd want a quote on glass. You know, I'd just take their measurements. How at 11 years old I did this, I have no idea. Yeah. But, you know, okay, we'll get some numbers together and we'll call you back for a quote. I doubt anybody ever called them back.
This little girl's answering the phone.
I mean, and I'm like, I think back, like, did they realize that I was only 11?
Yeah.
But prior to that, before my parents got into that, they like, my dad would take me to jobs with him, and the clients would think it was so cool. So I would write up their invoices and I would talk to them. And little did my dad know, like, he was planting a seed in me to do these things, to be able to talk to clients, to be able to write invoices, to be able to build rapport. Like, I didn't know at the time, you know, and it still amazes me to this day that I remember those things and I use them for what I do now, you know? And so, just having that background, I think, and having them, like, none of it was right, you know, but I was able to take all of that to make who I am now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It wasn't always glorious. You know, my 20s, I spent a lot of my 20s being angry and upset and like, why would they do that to their children? And why would they choose, you know, drugs over their children and this, that, and the other?
Yeah.
And for some reason, I'm sure there's a reason, but for some reason, I just dug real deep and decided that's not the life I want. I don't want to be angry. I've got kids to raise. I want them to see something different than, you know, what my parents showed us. And I just dug really deep and, didn't really have like a grand plan. You know, I didn't pay Tony Robbins. I didn't pay him, you know, $50,000 to enlighten my life or, you know, anything like that. I just started, and that was the era of when people started doing stuff on Facebook, coaching, business coaching, personal coaching, all those things. And just took whatever information or knowledge I could find to help make myself better. I just started taping affirmations to all my mirrors and, my fridge and, just trying to structure who I wanted to be, where I wanted to go, and what I wanted my future to look like. And I changed my perspective from my 20s to, being angry and hurt and upset and why me, and, things could have been so much different to being grateful for my parents,
for sure.
For teaching me the things they did when they did teach me.
Yeah.
And all I can do is be grateful for their struggles. Because I don't have to live those struggles.
Well, that's why you said it's perspective, right?
Yeah. So I know, and I talk to a lot of people, that are upset about, something that has happened to them in the past. And it hurts me when people let that affect them for so long. It's gonna affect you, you know?
And that's, everyone knows that, but you can't go back and change it. So why don't you just make the most of it?
Right. Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard work. It was
absolutely,
really hard to really understand those things. Yeah. I did therapy. I did, and even with therapy, it's hard to even just find the right therapist. That's even a struggle. Or changing your friends, changing your dynamic, changing, everything. 10 years ago, if you would have looked at my 5 closest friends, they were not the people that I would have thought that would carry me along. Now I see it. Back then I was like, oh, they're friends, they get me, they, all these things. If you look at my 5 closest friends now, my best friend, she's an entrepreneur. She's a stay-at-home mom per se, but she owns a couple businesses. I have another, best friend. She has gone through a lot of struggles, and she's worked hard to be where she is today. And everybody that we're close with is on the same path we're on. Yeah. And I think that makes a huge difference too. Huge difference.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I have a ton of questions, but I think one of my first ones is so as you watched your parents get money, and obviously it affected them in a negative way. Right. How have you made the decision to where with your successful business, how you're going to let it affect you in a positive way and not a negative way?
So it did affect me in a negative way at one point. Okay. I consider myself a serial entrepreneur. I've owned multiple businesses. Yeah. But those businesses were not the right season, the right, whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I would say, I don't know how many years ago it was, maybe 10 years ago. When I was a hairstylist, I decided to open a hair salon and a tattoo shop in one. It was the only one in Arizona. There's a barbershop and tattoo place here, but there wasn't a hair salon.
That actually sounds really cool.
It was really cool. Yeah. And so I opened it, single mom. I made a few mistakes. Yeah. The fact that I lived in Gilbert and the shop I opened was in Glendale. That was a big one.
That is a mistake. For those of you that don't know, that is a far drive.
It is a far drive. It was at least an hour every day.
Oh, wow.
And I had an excursion, so that was costing me, just a lot of mistakes. Anyways, when I owned that, it started to become successful, and then I got into my own head and realized this is the age my parents were when they had a successful business and they screwed it up. Yeah. And I think that I really let that affect me negatively, and I kind of just got really scared and ended up just walking away from it because I didn't want to be them.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I didn't do drugs. I didn't, I drank socially. I didn't have any of those same
tendencies.
So why I was scared, I don't know, other than watching my parents do it. And I had children on the line, you know, and I walked away from it. So that's kind of where I got my business name. My business name was Madam Butterfly Tattoo and Salon. And when I walked away from that, I always promised myself that I would reopen the business when I was in a better place. I wanted to redo it. Well, push come to shove, I realized I wasn't going to be able to own a salon anymore. So when this business came around, I named it the same thing. Just as like keeping a promise to myself.
Cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
It just wasn't a salon. And, you know, this one I've been really successful in. It's been amazing.
There's a lot of meaning behind that name. It's not just a salon. That's really cool.
That's cool. Was there like a specific event or a turning point? You mentioned like in your 20s there was a lot of anger, being upset about your childhood. Was there like something that made you just like flip a switch and decide to start, you know, changing your mindset and your perspective? Or was this like a long, gradual process of trying to change over a period of time?
Kind of both. The way we were raised was, you know, live off the system, create excuses, you know, just to justify all those bad decisions my parents were making. And, you know, they wanted to continue to tell, oh, we are taking care of our kids. We are doing this. You know, so we were taught how to have a lot of excuses. And so when I became a mom so quickly, that's what I knew. It's not what I wanted, but that's what I knew, you know? And I knew I didn't want to be the same. I just didn't know how to be different. So it was a struggle for a long time, but the change happened very quickly. I just had a lot of events. I ended up settling down with, I met a guy. We ended up settling down. We ended up having a baby. Unfortunately, the relationship didn't work. And at that point, that's when I was like, okay, Jessica, you've had, you know, some failed businesses. You've had a couple failed relationships. This is not fair to you. This is not fair to your kids. Like, now's the time. Like, either you're going to raise them like you were kind of raised, or you're going to do something and be better and be who you want to be. So it's like now or never. And I think the ending of that relationship is what really pushed me into being who I am today. Because I had no choice. I was, again, on my own now with 3 children, you know, and that's not something that you brag about, you know. So I wanted something to brag about. And so, you know, I started sewing. I started doing small things. I started doing things that could lead me into being independent. And when I left that relationship, I had to make a lot of big decisions. We were living in a very nice neighborhood, great schools. My kids had built relationship with friends. They were in sports. They did all these things. And I didn't want to fail and remove them from all of those things. So I knew I had to make a certain amount of money and, be a certain way to be able to keep them in that area, in those schools, you know, just give them the stability they needed. So it really kicked me in the tush to say, hey, like, you got to do something. And personally and financially to give them what they deserve, you know? And so, that's kind of when all that self-help stuff kicked in. And I was trying to like be who I thought, be who my kids needed. And that's be awesome. Who I wanted to be finally. And, so that's what happened. I literally moved into the neighborhood right across the street from our subdivision. So I was able to stay in the same area, same school, same everything, but it wasn't cheap to live there. So I really had to hustle.
I'm sure.
I had to hustle. And so that moved from, and I just took everything I knew, all my crafting, all my, all that background and just turned it in what I could to make the money to be able to support my children. But at the same time, I was really holding myself to a really high standard because I didn't want to be the single mom that worked 24/7.
Right.
I wanted to be present for my kids. I wanted to go on field trips. I wanted to be able to help in their class. I wanted to be there when they got off the bus at school. Yeah. So that was when my major change happened. Because if I didn't change, none of that would have been possible at all.
That's awesome. And I think then in turn, like, you changing for your kids makes you happy. Because if your kids are successful and what they're doing makes you happy, then you're good.
Right. I just wanted to give them some opportunity. But it's weird to look back a little bit now because I was not given opportunity. I had to make my opportunity. Yeah. There was no silver spoon for me. There was barely a plastic spoon, but then I gave my kids the silver spoon. Yeah. And you really kind of see the difference. I mean, my kids are great, don't get me wrong, but they have a little bit different perspective of me because they haven't known the same struggle I've known. Right. So, like, now that my two older ones are getting older, like my oldest one, when he turned 18, I really encouraged him to get out of Arizona, go somewhere, do something, struggle, live on minimum wage and have to pay your own bills and insurance and car and your car break, all those things. Yeah. And really pushing him out has made a huge difference. I mean, it's just a testament to how struggle makes you a better person.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you have any like role models through any of this process to kind of help you make that mindset shift or just keep you on the right track, or was this all you?
Well, no, not all me. Yeah. I did do the hard work, but I did have some. My family really stepped in and helped when we were younger. My grandparents really, one set of my grandparents took custody of us and raised us for quite a few years. And so that's where I learned all my crafting because we were moved from Arizona to South Dakota.
Oh, wow. So
we went from big city to the population town. The population sign in our town said 52 people.
Wow.
It was, excuse me, it was a huge culture shock.
Oh, yeah.
Huge. So what do you do there? You run in cornfields? Like, there's not really much to do there. So, like, my grandma taught us how to sew, how to cook, how to, craft, how to do all those things. And I just really dove deep into a lot of the school activities. Like, seriously, every activity I could sign up for, I signed up for. Yeah. And so they were kind of my role models then, teaching us things that we weren't taught, like how to be normal. Like how to, like my grandparents would have a disagreement. And instead of doors being broken down and holes in the wall, like we could see a normal adult argument and then a normal adult solution, Yeah. So those are things we weren't used to. Right, and you don't, when you're raised a certain way, you don't realize there's other ways of living. Yeah. So I had some of those kind of role models. And just after that was kind of what I talked about earlier about having, like changing your friends. Yeah. Just changing my friends and seeing how they were doing, seeing them being entrepreneurs or them raising a family or them going through struggles, surrounding myself with people like those who are able to overcome things in a positive way. Yeah. You just soak up all that from other people. Yeah. So I don't have any specific like big time famous role or any of those kind of things. I just tried to soak up what I could from other people around me. Stop soaking up the negative and start soaking up the positive.
That's cool. They say like you're the combination of your 5 closest friends or something, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's super true. You have to surround yourself with good people. You have to.
Yeah, because otherwise it just, coming from a background of what I came from, the things that were normal then shouldn't be normal. You shouldn't. And how do you don't know unless you've seen something else,
right?
You don't know that it's not okay. Mm-hmm. So,
it's cool. What would you say the biggest thing that trials and failure has taught you in your life?
Oh man, I have failed a lot. I have really failed a lot, and 10, 15 years ago, I always would beat myself up over my failure.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be your parents. You're going to, not recover from this. No, I've still failed since I've changed my perspective. And it's just driven me to keep going. And, you can read a lot of the, books about being an entrepreneur. They say, I forget what it is, your first 5 or 7 businesses or however many are going to fail before you find the right one.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of true, but all of those things taught me more and more and more. And if I would have never just put myself out there, I would have never learned those things, even though they were hard and they sucked. It wasn't easy, but that's what drove me to just keep going. Even now in this coronavirus thing that we've got going on, this craziness, a lot of things have had to change. The business that I once built, that was my baby, Madam Butterfly Creations, that's my baby. I've had to step out of that business. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still there, but, being home with the kids full time and doing all those things. Thank God my husband went into business with me a few years ago. And now he's running it because I can't. I don't have those abilities anymore. So in true fashion of myself, I just, I was at home. I didn't know where our business was going to go. I didn't know if people would even want us in their homes,
right?
Because of all the fear and everything going on. Mm-hmm. So I just started watching and looking, and next thing I know, people were making masks, and people were donating masks, selling masks, all these things. And my background is sewing. I started this business sewing. So it really kind of weighed on my mind, and I woke up one morning super early on a Sunday, and I pulled my sewing machine down. I'm like, I wonder if I can sew a mask. And I did. I sewed a mask. My husband woke up. He's like, "What? Where did that come from?" Like, I just whipped it up. Right. And so I was like, okay, well, I want to donate some and I want to make some. At first, my objective was the ones that I sold would compensate the money for the ones that I donated.
Okay.
And within a couple days, I had like 400 orders of masks.
Really?
Wow. It was insane.
Is this just from customers? Like, where did you...
posting it on Facebook, like, hey, who needs masks? Yeah. And next thing I know, I had businesses reaching out to me, like, hey, I need masks for all my employees. I had, regular, other people just, hey, I need some for my family. I just started making them. Next thing I know, my living room and kitchen looks like a sweatshop. I had fabric all over the place. Wow. One of my best friends, her husband, he knows how to sew.
Wow.
And so they're like, we'll come over and help you. I was like, oh, thank you. Because I don't know. And in 2 months, I sold almost 4,000 masks.
Wow.
And donated a ton. Not as many as I wanted to, but we donated a lot.
That's awesome.
And just, it's just one of those things. You find something, there's a struggle, there's this, there's that. And, so it's been a weird, crazy ride through this whole pandemic
I bet.
thing. But really, it's perspective.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people are, you know, financially burdened. And then it's like, okay, well, let's create an idea. Let's do something. And that's kind of another one of my ideas.
Yeah, that's really cool. How did Madam Butterfly go from sewing to cabinets? Like, what was the process of the journey there?
So I just kind of started, I was pregnant, I was on bed rest, and I needed something. And so I started sewing things for my house, making decor in my house, those kind of things. Again, just posted it on Facebook. Like, hey, anybody need custom, like, window treatments? And a few people reached out. Word of mouth. Next thing I know, I'm making pillows and window treatments and shower curtains and all these things. It wasn't even really meant to be a huge business, but it was filling my time. And then that's when furniture painting started to get really big. So I got into that. Well, at that same time, about a year into it is when I separated from my son's dad. I had those things trickling. I opened a storefront and started, you know, just having my sewing stuff, my furniture painting. I started doing chalk paint because that was like the big thing, you know. Went from there. I had a lady reach out to me and she's like, hey, my mom needs her cabinets refinished. Can you do it? And I'm like, listen, I've never done that before. But like, hey, if you know, I mean, I'm being honest with you up front. Like, if you want me to, let's give it a shot, you know. I charged her like nothing. I think I lost money on that deal. But I did it. It was hard. It took me twice as long as it should have. It ended up with ripped pants and ruined paintbrushes and 2 weeks of labor that I was like, you know, all these things that I didn't know at the beginning, like number your doors so you know where they go back. I didn't know that at the time. And those are all the things I learned. I did that. I did another one. Next thing you know, I was doing cabinets every single week. And it literally just kind of fell in my lap. And I ended up having to close my storefront. I actually sold it. My first business I actually sold for like money.
That's super cool.
You know, to someone else who took over, you know, all my inventory. They used a different name, but it was really cool to sell a business.
How can you talk about that for a second? Like, how did that happen? Did someone just come to you, or did you, like, I don't know, post or promote it somewhere that you were selling your business? What's the process there?
Yeah, the storefront was good in itself. Luckily, it was making enough money to support itself, but it wasn't making enough money for like a true profit. But with it being in its first year and it supporting itself, I felt that was pretty good. And with the cabinet thing happening, I ended up having to hire a crew to help me do cabinets. And that left me with not being able to have time for my shop. Like, I would have employees there and I would just show up and like put their paychecks under the mat for before they opened, before I ran to a cabinet job. And I never saw the place anymore. So I was like, probably not the best, because then I was digging into my kids' time. I was taking away time from them, having both of them. So I had to make a decision, which way did I want to go? So Google's my best friend. Me and Google are like, you know, that's where I kind of learn everything. So I started to Google, like, how do you estimate how much your business is worth? Like, is this worth anything? You know, did a lot of research, and I just posted it on Facebook. Like, hey, here's my business. You know, here's the opportunity. Here's the numbers. Here's my selling price. And I didn't sell it for the full amount I wanted. I came down a couple thousand. But I had several people right away wanting to buy it. And there was one person in particular that I really liked, so that's why I did come down a little bit in price. Just we negotiated a few things, and I sold it. And there wasn't really, I just downloaded something from Google, like a contract that you could kind of fill out saying, you know, all the fine details. And that was it. It was kind of crazy. It was a cool experience.
Yeah, definitely. Do you spend more time cleaning your pool than you spend swimming in it? Then call Flamingo Pools today. Flamingo Pools is your go-to swimming pool maintenance and repair company in the East Valley. Whether it's weekly maintenance, repairs, green to cleans, or one-time cleanings, Flamingo Pools will take care of you. Honest, reliable, and innovative. Just a few of the many good things Flamingo Pools customers have to say about them. Ask them about their mineral treatment, which will keep your chemical levels down, allowing you to have a healthier bathing experience. At Flamingo Pools, they know that your pool was made to be enjoyed, so let them handle the rest. Check them out at azflamingopools.com or give them a call at 480-422-6013. Mention this podcast and you'll get your first month of maintenance completely free. That's azflamingopools.com and 480-422-6013. Well, it sounds like Facebook has kind of been like your marketing friend. What else do you do for marketing?
I do nothing for marketing.
Wow.
Literally nothing. I haven't paid for marketing in years, probably 6 years. We've really just worked it off of word of mouth and referrals. Just the way I've structured the business to a much higher standard, it creates an opportunity for people to tell people about us. We get compliments all the time. You're the only contractor that showed up on time, that have been here when you said you're going to be here, that have completed the job without us having to nitpick everything. You know, our cabinet finish, it is extremely durable, but we don't live in a perfect world. So yeah, occasionally if you hit it hard enough, you might nick it.
Right.
We don't put a time frame on it. We don't say, you know, you have a 6-month warranty, because you might have a nick in a year. And I'd much rather them call me and say, hey, I got a nick, can you come and fix it? And it take me 5 minutes to come and fix it. And them, you know, that's the difference in them saying to their friend, we had this company do our cabinets, but we had this nick in a year and they didn't return our phone calls, versus we had a company that came, we had a nick, I called them, they came and fixed it for free. That's that 5 minutes of my time, because it doesn't happen very often. That's what pays for my marketing and my advertising. That's and really cool. You know, so it helps me keep my overhead really low. And that's like, as of today, we're booked out to the middle of September.
Wow.
And
all for cabinets.
Yeah, that's it. And
that's
we're
crazy.
doing, we were only able to do 1 job a week. Now we're able to do 2 kitchens a week. So we've doubled everything. And we're still in this pandemic booked into the middle of September. We just do a good job. You would think that would be would think that would be normal.
Of course, everyone does a good job, but it's like, you kind of got to look for it. So.
Yeah, and fortunately, that's not the standard that everybody holds themselves to, which is really weird.
Yeah.
But
it's really cool, because like, you think you're losing time and money by going back for free to those jobs and helping out, but really it's paying you, like you said, so much more in the referrals that they send, and you're just a testament of that. So you mentioned that you and your husband are both in the business now. What are the different roles that you both play in the business?
So it's been a weird ride with, working with your spouse. It's really cool, but there have been some struggles and challenges. I don't know if my husband wants me to say these things, but whatever. It was a struggle for him coming in, to him being independent, working his own hours, his own job, having his own thing, to coming into my business.
Yeah.
You know?
And now you're the boss.
Now, you're right. It's different. It's
Yeah.
not... Typically, you would hear stereotype, the wife would work for the husband's business kind of thing. And so it was a weird struggle and hurdle for us to overcome to make it to where I wasn't the boss per se.
Yeah.
It was our business. And even still, he still kind of struggled because I built it,
Yeah.
And so we just had some really good heart-to-hearts. My lifestyle was different from his. He worked 40, 60 hours a week. He traveled. He worked overtime. He worked in the heat. He worked construction. Like heat construction.
Yeah.
And he always would tell me, he didn't provide his girls with everything he wanted to because he wasn't there all the time. Yeah. He never helped out in a classroom. He couldn't walk them to the bus stop. He couldn't do all these things. And he was, I guess, jealous. I don't know if that's the right word, that I was able to do that with my kids.
Yeah.
Like I was so connected with my kids, and that's what he wanted. Yeah. And so we just, again, took another leap of faith of him quitting his full-time job with benefits and, 401k and all those things that he had been building to, us working together. So it took us a while to just kind of get him incorporated with the business because there were a lot of things that I wanted to be still done my way. And we just really had to work through those struggles to get it to where we were. So we had, right before this whole world going mad thing, we had started to try to change our business to pull me out of the field a little bit, for me to focus on other aspects of our business and letting him do the actual work of it. So when all of this hit, we were already prepared. It just gave us that shove we needed.
Gotcha.
Shove I needed to let go of the control of everything. Yeah. And, he would come home. I'm like, okay, did you do this? And did you do this? And did you do this? And did you tell the client this? And did you, all these things? He's like, yes, I got this. I'm like, okay, I hope so. And now our roles have really changed. I'm just, at home now, and he's responsible for almost the whole business now. Wow. Which is crazy. And it's a relief that I have somebody I can trust to do that. Because it's hard to let something that you work so hard for go into somebody else's hands. Yeah. But I'm super proud of him. He's killed it. He's totally nailed every aspect of it. So that's been...
Sounds like a little secret plan you had to bring him in and say, here,
right?
you do it all now.
Thanks. I always told him I'd make a really good housewife. Like, I've never had that opportunity. Let's try that out. And now I'm super bored.
Before all this hit, so you mentioned that he was going to focus more on actually doing the cabinets, and then you were going to focus on some other important parts of the business. Right. What are some of those things that you were trying to focus on?
So we have a plan of eventually changing our license and doing more things, adding more things to our business as far as new cabinet installs, countertops, flooring, those kind of things. Because we go into kitchens, and that's where I've kind of fulfilled part of my life of my old dream of wanting to be an interior designer. I get to do those things now without spending all that money on college. Yeah. I used my... all my color knowledge from when I was a hairstylist to now using it in color and design in people's kitchens. So I never had the opportunity to expand as a single mom. Once he stepped in, he even started to notice hey, we're giving a lot of work away. You're helping these people design their kitchens, countertops, floors, backsplash, cabinet colors, all these things. but you're just giving the business to everyone else because I couldn't do it. So we're working on getting a license that incorporates all those things, so that way we can subcontract with other really good contractors to be able to do everything kind of in-house, instead of saying, hey, we'll do your cabinets and I'll design it for you, but you're going to have to go find everybody else to do it. Good luck. So that's what we're wanting to change.
Yeah. So no other employees. Is that ever something that you want to bring on board, or are you trying to keep it with you and your husband?
We do have one employee now.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. And he came in at the right time. He was somebody that worked at Home Depot. We basically live at Home Depot, and got to know him. And so we kind of stole him. And so he works with us.
That's cool.
I've had more employees in the past. Employees is kind of a struggle. Having employees. So I kind of like to keep that minimized.
Yeah.
So with this new part of our business, instead of hiring more employees, we'll be subcontracting for things that we couldn't do anyways, like countertops. We don't know how to fabricate countertops. But we've been building these relationships over time with people.
Right.
So that way we'll still have a smaller staff, but still be able to expand our business. So,
do you love this business?
I do. I have, I've got one of those creative brains, so I get bored kind of easy.
Yeah.
And I like to change things up.
Yeah.
But this is a business I haven't changed. I've had it for, I think I'm going on 7 or 8, almost 8 years. And, I really love it. I love my clients. I love being able to design. I love being able to have that interior design aspect that I've wanted since high school.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was going to happen in this way, but it happened.
Yeah.
So it was kind of another dream fulfilled. And now that I've kind of backed out of the business, I get to do a lot of the things that I've always wanted to do, like the whole housewife thing, like being able to cook dinner. I love to cook, and you don't love to cook when you've done, when you've been painting cabinets for 6-7 hours. Yeah. I get to do those things now. So just changing seasons, different, and just enjoying the opportunities I have as they come along.
For sure.
So.
You mentioned that you're a serial entrepreneur. So do you have plans in the future for any other business ideas, or are you kind of wanting to stick with this and see what you can do with it?
Funny you ask. I may be starting another business.
Oh, here we go.
Do we get the inside scoop here?
Yeah, I'm bored,
Yeah.
And so I saw a need. My friend, I've mentioned her a couple times now. She owns a boutique. And I kind of watched some of her struggles as far as our graphic tees that everybody loves. They're so popular, all the designs and the sayings and the quotes and, all these things. And I've watched her struggle of, having to order minimum quantities and sizes and what sizes sell and what sizes don't sell. We're constantly together, so I get to see all of her struggles.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I wonder if I could make the designs for the shirts and sell them to businesses, and they can choose what color shirt it goes on, what size it goes on, what this, what that. So right now I'm working on sublimation of shirts and digital printing on vinyl. And so that's kind of what I'm working on right now. Nothing's been released. I don't have a Facebook page yet, but I will. But yeah, so I'm sure I'll own a multitude of businesses in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Well, we'll make sure to stay in touch and maybe have you back on after that gets going to see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm excited. Really cool. I think it'll be really awesome, and I'm excited for it.
That's cool. So I had one more question for you. Kind of going back to the start of your story and everything you went through in life. Knowing all the struggles that you had to deal with and everything you went through, and then what it's done for you in your life, if you had the chance, would you change the way that you were raised and that you grew up and all the experiences you had, or do you feel like it made you who you are today?
I've thought about that a lot. That's something I think about very often.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd be the person I am today if my background was different. You know, if my parents didn't struggle, or they didn't get into drugs, or I didn't, I don't think I would be where I am. What if I hadn't gotten pregnant so early on? Would that made a change in my relationships or my relationship struggles? Or, I have 3 amazing kids. I have so much experience for someone who's 37. I have the life I have right now is absolutely amazing. I have no complaints. I just showed up and did the hard work, and that's where I'm at. And I honestly don't think I would be who I am today if things were different.
Yeah.
How, back then.
Yeah.
And
that's
so,
cool.
Again, perspective.
Yeah.
I
think it
just
says a lot.
appreciate everything that I've been through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference instead
sure.
of appreciate instead of dwell.
Yeah.
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 I guess I kind of have a follow-up question with this. It's kind of 2 parts, but is there any advice you'd give to someone that may be experiencing similar things that you did? Or also, is there advice that you'd give to somebody that's just a young entrepreneur or an old entrepreneur just trying to get started?
Right. As far as just somebody who's been through hard struggles in their life, I can't say it enough. It's really perspective.
Yeah.
It's really just changing your mindset on, who you are, what you went through, and what you want to be. It's hard. You can't get rid of the things that have happened to you. They'll always be there. Mm-hmm. Always. You just have to figure out how to get through them, how to be okay with them, how to be okay with your story, because it's not something to brag about. Like, hey, I was raised by drug addicts, we didn't have electricity and water, those kind of, you don't brag about those things. Like, mommy and daddy never bought me a vehicle, they never, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So it's really being okay with your story and okay with changing your story, okay with the old saying of breaking the cycle. It is so true. You have to break a cycle and start a new one. Yeah. And especially if you have kids, like that was my big thing. Do I want to continue this cycle and give those characteristics to my kids? No, I would never want to put that on them. So I want, it's just, there's a way out of it, and there's a way up. It's just, starting at the bottom. Not everything's going to change overnight. Yeah. It's not a instant fix. Yeah. So it takes a while, and it takes hard work, but everybody can do hard things if they want to. So, there's no better time than now to change your perspective, As far as entrepreneurs go, I think one of the bigger struggles for entrepreneurs, when I talk to other people on starting a business, everybody assumes you need all this money, all this time, all this, I have to quit my full-time job and no income and dive deep and, maybe it's worked for some people, but it's not going to work for everybody. Yeah. When you've got a family, when you've got bills and responsibilities, you can't just gonna start my business, I'm gonna go take a loan for $50,000. Yeah. You don't have to. Yeah. I've never taken a loan for any of my businesses. Some of them have failed, but I've never had a business that failed that I owed money or I lost money.
That's awesome.
I at least came out even. And I think that's because I started a lot smaller. Say, for instance, the business I'm starting now. I have invested some money, but like I'm under $1,000 in investments right now. If you can save, it's
barely anything.
Right. It's not a lot. And I think people overthink it.
Yeah.
You can start a business while you have a full-time job. You're going to work your butt off, but that's owning a business is working really hard. You don't have to have this big grand, if you have a company where you have to buy construction equipment, that's, but like smaller businesses right now, I think is the best time for people to start opening smaller businesses. We've got a lot of parents that are staying home to teach their kids, and they're saying, well, what am I going to do since I can't work? What am I going to do if I have to teach my kids? Where's my money going to come from?
Yeah.
Our unemployment is changing. The money's going to be going down. Like a lot of people are going to really, truly start struggling. Now's the time to start something. And like with the business I'm starting, I can create an opportunity, say, for a stay-at-home mom who wants to start a t-shirt business on Etsy. Etsy doesn't cost you anything to start. Buying a few t-shirts isn't going to cost you much. Doing the hard work on Facebook and Instagram, you don't have to run ads. Depend on your friends. There's influencers now. There's so many avenues that you don't have to, you can just start it. So I think that's my big thing is you don't have to be rich. You don't have to have a partner. You don't have to... you can be somebody who's unemployed and needing, it's, you just hustle.
Love it. I'm going to turn Ridge's 2-part question into a 3-part question before we finish up. What advice would you give to your younger self?
That'll be okay. That's it. It'll be okay.
Yeah. Simple, but pretty profound.
Right. I mean, I spent a lot of years stressing over if it will be okay.
Yeah.
And, it's been okay. It's been more than okay.
Yeah. But and knowing that it's going to be okay just changes everything, right?
Yeah. Knowing that I am the mom I want to be.
Yeah.
I am the wife I want to be. I am the friend I want to be. I'm where I want to be, and I never would have dreamed it in a million years. And I'm just excited to know what else is gonna, come.
Yeah. That's awesome. Good stuff. Sweet. Before we finish up here, we have a little game that we're gonna play with you.
Okay.
So how it goes is we've got a list of questions we're going to ask you, and it's going to be like rapid fire, and you have 60 seconds to answer as many questions.
Man.
They're not hard.
Okay.
They're not hard. Yeah, they're not hard.
So don't give me math questions.
I was going to say, it's not like a math test.
Yeah, no, nothing like that.
So I'll pull up the clock here.
All right.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I'm a thinker, so hopefully I can rapid fire this.
Yeah, it goes.
We'll get this.
And Ridge, you ready?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Stuck on an island, what would you bring?
Oh, gosh. Food.
If you could have dinner with anyone in time, who would it be?
Oh, man. Oh, I don't even know. I would really love to have dinner with my my 2 grandpas again.
That's awesome. Favorite junk food?
Pizza.
Nice.
Best business book you've read?
What's it called? The roller coaster one. It has a red cover and it has a roller coaster on it. It's an entrepreneur one. Why can't I think of the name of it? I don't know. We'll have to rely on Google.
What's a superpower you'd have?
I just need more time in a day.
Okay. That's good.
Stop time, maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry, TV show you could binge watch.
Grey's Anatomy.
Music you turn on when nobody is around.
Say that one more time.
Music you turn on when nobody is around.
Oh, I am like a dub reggae,
nice.
Dirty Heads, that kind of stuff.
That's
but deep
stuff.
down, when nobody's around, I bring it back to my punk days. I love punk music.
Nice. All right. Well, that is time for us. I think we got 7 there, so not bad.
Yeah, that was good.
I'm curious to figure out what that book was. Do you want
to? Yes, it was The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster. It's your turn to join the ride.
Nice. I've never actually read that one.
Yeah.
I'll have to take a look.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff in that book.
Yeah. And there's, man, I wish I could think of them. Oh, there is one book that really helped me when I was kind of going through my wanting to turn things around. Yeah. It's by Jen Sincero. It's called You Are a Badass.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It is such a good book. And now she's got one, You Are a Badass at Making Money.
That's a really good one.
I haven't finished that one. I wasn't in the right place for that one at the time when I started reading it, but I remember it just kind of going over the fear of making money and the fear, those kind of things. Yeah. Those books are so good, and they're so like true to life, and just it's like you're talking to a friend kind of awesome. Book. So those are good too.
Awesome. Okay, well, Jessica, thank you so much again for coming on. Your story is super inspiring. Definitely learned a lot, and I know our listeners have definitely been inspired. I think you're just a living example of the fact that, in the race of life, we don't all start at the same spot. Like some people start so much ahead or behind others, but you can either, dwell on that and complain about where you started and your upbringing, or you can, make something happen.
Right.
And the great thing about, where we live is you can make anything happen. And
you have the opportunity to. You just have to take it.
For sure. Awesome. So thanks for, being proof of that inspiring fact.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for letting me come in and talk about it. I am an open book to people, but it's kind of nice to talk about it, to let other people know that there's
light at the end of the tunnel.
World.
So.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
How about you tell us where you can find us, like social media?
Oh, yeah. So on Facebook, it's Madam Butterfly Creations and Interiors. Okay. On Instagram, it's I shortened it on Instagram, MB Interiors on Instagram. Those are the two main places we hang out. Cool. Facebook majority of the time.
Nice.
Sweet. Awesome.
Cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks again.
Thank you guys.
We'll catch you all next week.
Yep, we'll see ya.